with time? Because last time I checked, we don't have time machines, and like how do we get more time? There's only we're maxed out with time in a day. So yeah, what can we say to our listeners about time hacks?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always going to talk about meal planning when it comes to time saving. That's just that comes up a lot for me. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that meal planning is going to add time to your week around meal prep and stuff because you have to dedicate that, time to sit down and do that. But it actually is like sort of one of those like you invest your time up front and then save it later kind of thing. So for me, it's as much a mental thing as it is a like physical thing in the kitchen, like just not having to think about my meals for the week other than one time. So I dedicate like an hour. I do my meal planning on a Thursday and then I get my groceries on a Friday morning because grocery shopping, I can't handle the crowds on the weekends. So I go in the morning on a Friday when it's just me at the store. And lots of people do it like late at night too after work or something. So yeah, doing the meal planning piece for me has changed my entire life. And it's not like that's another thing where people think it needs to look a certain way too, where you need to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner planned out perfectly down to every ingredient, all of your snacks, it doesn't necessarily need to be look a certain way or be that way. I will always say if you're just new to starting with meal planning to start with just like a couple of meals in the week and plan to do leftovers. And then that basically serves you 4 meals if you can do 2 meals out of each one. So that's a good portion of your week already, just for like a couple dinners. That's all you have to plan. Or start with something you already love, like a recipe you've made 1,000 times. You don't need to dig through thousands of recipes and go on all these websites and spend a ton of time getting creative. Just start with something that you love and maybe make a larger batch of it and then make some leftovers. So that one is a huge one for me that saves me a ton of time. You go to the store and you're purposeful about what you know you need for your recipes. You're only buying what you need. You know what's on your list. You're not like wandering around the store thinking, okay, what should I get for this week? You're not thinking on the spot and just grabbing whatever. You're knowing exactly what you need for the week. So that saves you time in the store as well. So that's kind of a big one that I always start with is the meal planning piece. I guess going hand in hand with that is the batch cooking piece too. I'm not huge into batch cooking in the traditional sense that people think of it, where you spent all of Sunday in the kitchen prepping 8 meals and freezing all these, and like if you're into that, that's awesome. And I totally encourage that. But that doesn't work for me personally. And that's just another way of saying like, it doesn't have to look a certain way if it doesn't work for you. But my version of batch cooking is just making a larger batch of something I'm already making and having leftovers either for that week or freezing some portions to have for a quick like lunch to take to work or for those nights when you're running out the door having to go to activities with your kids or whatever it is. Then you have something in the freezer you can just pull out and throw in the microwave or in the oven. So that's kind of my version of batch cooking that works for me, is sort of like I'm already doing the work. I'm already making that meal. I'm just going to make a little bit more of it kind of thing. So those two things come to mind. I'm going to let both of you chime in here before I keep going.
Yeah, I not not surprising those tips whatsoever. Like one of my clients that had an aha moment with meal planning. One of the things that they mentioned is that they didn't even do much in terms of pre-preparation, but the simple act of just thinking about what you're going to eat the day before, the Sunday hick, you don't even have to do much work. But because at the end of the day, end of the work day, if you're at work, if you're at school, if you're at home doing all kinds of things, no matter where you are, at the end of the day, it's like 4:00, 4:30 in the afternoon. You're like, oh, I gotta start thinking about supper. And if in that moment you have to think about, oh, what do we have? What can I make? Oh, do I have to go to the store? Oh, what does everybody else want if you're cooking for not only yourself? Like all of those decisions and things to think about in the moment. At the end of the day, when maybe your brain is, operating on 50% power compared to what it would have been, at a different time. It's no wonder that people will be like, screw it, let's just order pizza, because I've done that before. You would definitely downplay the impact of making decisions before the time comes where you have to do the things related to that decision. In this case, what am I going to have for dinner on Wednesday? Easy thing to do.
Yeah, I just totally agree with that. With the time piece, especially where it's like at the end of the day, when you're tired and your brain is at 50% capacity, it feels insurmountable to me to think of something to make. And then you're looking for a recipe, you're looking how long it takes. It says 30 minutes, and really it's going to be 45 or an hour. Let's be real. The cleanup, do I have the ingredients? Do I need to go to the store? All of that process of just thinking through those pieces, that adds so much time to your day. And so I can totally understand why people would just go, I don't even want to bother at this point. I'm too tired. All those steps seem like way too much work and not worth it. So if you do that, if you front load all of that and during your meal planning time that you set aside, you don't even have to think about that at all. And that's what has happened in my life now since I've started meal planning. And it sounds like that was similar for your client that had that aha moment. Is just like, I'm done work. What's on the meal plan today? Oh, I know what I'm making. I have all the ingredients. I don't have to think about it. My recipe's ready to go. Oh, I also can look at what's on my meal plan for tomorrow and get out some meat out of the freezer to start thawing. So I don't have to do that last minute, throw it in the microwave and thaw it and hope it's like all the way thawed in time to prep. I've done that, and that's the worst. So like that kind of stuff too is getting like your head in the game even the day before. Like I've just gotten in that habit now of like, what's tomorrow? Oh, I'm going to get the chicken breasts out now and put them in the fridge on a plate. And that just saves time too. Right. So I don't know. I can talk about meal planning forever.
These are all really good things, and definitely things that I echo with my clients as well. And then I'll even take it a step further of like, even before you commit to creating a meal plan and planning this out, is to take a few days of reflection of like, and noting the things that Brandon had mentioned, right? Like, when am I the most tired? When do I need this meal plan to work for me? Because sometimes you're going to have a day where you're like in the mood and just want to cook everything, right? So taking notes of kind of the patterns of, you know what, these days are always going to be busy. And, I got to make sure that meal plan is going to match and reflect that versus trying to make the meal plan fit. It's got to work the other way. So kind of doing a little bit of a time management check before you kind of start these things.